if you want to see how I got this answer, I want you to stick around. And by the way, the answer to the question of x to 2/3 power equals 7x to the 1/3 power is u equals 343. And the second point is 0. Your second solution is 0. All right, so I'm going to erase all this. And then I'm going to tell you how I got it. I'm going to first start by telling you all something as I type this in here. But I want to start by telling you all that all this mathematics and stuff I've taught myself, and unfortunately I didn't get a proper education in grade school, so I had to kind of test and like do things on my own and pay for tutoring and all kinds of stuff like that as an adult, because I wanted to go back and take some college courses and stuff. And yeah, so I basically have been, you know, learning on my own for just about everything except for like English and all that, because I had some pretty good teachers for English, but I just went through school and didn't really learn much. And our teachers would leave the classroom and they just wouldn't come back in, and that's kind of part of, you know, back when I went to school, that was just part of going to hood ass schools. I don't even know how else I can tell how, you don't know how much how I can tell you, you know, just they were some hood schools. So that being said, you know, this stuff I've taught myself, and I'm doing mathematics from home. And I'm using the actual homework to teach me things, and I'm staring at things for days at a time just to try to learn them and everything else. So, you know, I test to get on a college level, because you have to test or take a class to get into college algebra. But I tested and got into college algebra, and when I tested to get into college algebra, it was because I studied at home. You know, I had a friend that was in college, and I had him come over, and he sat down, and we sat down at the table, and I studied with the stuff that will be on the entry-level test, to practice entry-level test until, you know, I was good enough so that I don't have to take a remedial class. And I ended up passing all subjects on college level when I ain't learned shit in grade school. So, you know, it may have taken me longer to start, you know, doing more with college, because I do have some college credits already, but it took me longer to like enroll into. I had to leave because I got sick the first time I enrolled into college, so that was a W. They called it a withdrawal. And this is the second time, and I'm just going to stick through the whole thing. You know, whether I pass or fail, I'm going to stick through the whole thing. And if I fail, I'm going to end up going to another school. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and get to this problem. I just want to mention that because this was something I never learned. Radical exponents was something I never learned in grade school. I just had to teach myself, so it was kind of, it was a challenge. All right, so x to the 2/3 power is the exact equivalent of saying, and we're going to separate this stuff, some organization so you can know your steps. All right, it's the exact equivalent of saying x to the 1/3 power squared. Okay, but we want to put this in quadratic form so that we can solve it, we can factor it. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn that x and 1/3 to u, which is this u right up here in the center. I can put it in yellow. Okay, so we're supposed to be, this is the stuff I'm talking about here. Okay, it's better. So after we do that, we're going to also change this over here, x to the 1/3 power, to u. So now we're going to make that x to the 1/3 power equals u. But on this side, notice that there it is squared. It was, well, raised to the second power. So u squared equals 7u. Okay? Or u to the second power equals 7u. Okay, now we need to get it in quadratic form still, because it tells you au squared plus bu plus c. So what we're going to do that is we're going to minus 7u here, and we're going to minus 7u to the left as well. That's going to give us u squared minus 7u equals 0. Now it's in a way, in a form that we can factor this out. Because it's only a binomial and it's not a trinomial, it's not 3 sections to this problem, it's only 2. We actually, I already know a little secret that one of our solutions is actually going to be 0. We ain't got to do nothing else. It's going to be, one of them is going to be 0 that we can plug in, okay? Okay? And at this point, it could possibly be 0. U squared is just like saying u times u. Negative 7 times u is just like you're saying negative 7u. So we know that our factor is u minus 7. Now we're going to take that u minus 7 and we're going to put it again to equal to 0. We're going to zero factor. And we're going to add 7 to both sides to get the u alone. And we're going to end up with u equals 7. Okay? But I want you to remember something. So every time somebody explained it, whether it was the professor, me watching the professor videos, or whether it was me watching YouTube videos or people trying to explain it, they didn't explain it well enough. Not for me, not for somebody who didn't learn radicals in high school, okay? That's having to learn it in college while doing college algebra, okay? We're doing some very, very great things out here. When you solve for that u equals 7, it's just like you solving for this x up here at the top. Okay. What this means is we know, let me go back to the green, that if we put the 7 to the 1/3 power, we said 7 to the 1/3 power is the exact same thing as saying 7 times 7 times 7, because this 3 tells us here how many times to multiply that 7. Okay? And 7 times 7 times 7 is, I believe, is 343. 343. So 343. Okay? Because you can equal 7. You can equal 7 to the 1/3 power, because it's just, you know, it's still there. You basically just solved for like x. Okay? So u is going to equal that 7 to the 1/3 power, keeping in mind that you could equal 7. Okay? But we're going to say 0, 343. Now what we have to do is we have to check these solutions. We have to see if they are true or false. And so in order to check it, all we want to do is we are going to plug in our 0 and our 343. So we're going to put the original problem up here. Let's put the original problem so we won't confuse the folks. X to the 2/3 power, and that's the symbol for, so you know that it's an exponent, equals 7x. I said to 1/3, so that's 2/3 power. To the 1/3 power here, and that's an exponent, so I'm going to put the exponent sign. Okay? My 3's look funky, but you know it's a 3. I'm telling you right now it's a 3. Now all we're going to do is we're going to first plug in our first solution, which is 0. We're going to have 0 times 2/3, all right, equals 7 times 0 to the 1/3. Anything times 0 is going to give you 0. So you're going to end up with 0 equals 0. Does 0 equal 0? Yes, 0 is equal to 0. 0 is equal to 0. Not 0 to Quicket down in Texas. We're talking about some 0 is equal to 0, the number, okay? So, because 0 is equal to 0, we know this solution is true. It's true. 0 is equal to 0, all right? Let's plug in our next solution. Our next solution, and I can keep this color here, is going to be 343, and we're just plugging it in wherever you see x at. I told you just basically solving for x. I don't know why they didn't just come out and say it. And then times, well, to the 2/3 power is equal to, and how you really, we're going to plug it in. We're just going to plug it in. Equals 7 times the square root of 343. 343, and then we have that up there. You're plugging it in like this because your equation is still the same. Remember, your equation is just like you saying x and 1/3 is just like saying 7 times 7 times 7. So I just kind of want you to keep that in mind, that this is the equivalent. Okay, I'm basically just gave you the answer. But what you actually can do, my friends, is you can plug this in. And remember, we got the 3 from the 1/3, because anytime you see the 1/3, it's just like saying that times that times that. And then you square that 343, because we know that u equals 7. Okay, and it's just like saying, then you have this 1/3 down here. See, it was confusing to me as well. I'm just going to tell you to take your 7 times 7 times 7. If the numbers are 9, take your 9 times 9 times 9, square it, and then raise it by 3. That's like saying to the third power, raise it by 3. Okay? And then times it by whatever number you have right there. All right? When you put this in your calculator or your calculation system, you can actually get the answer from this, seeing what times what will give you this and doing all that. But it's easier and it's going to take you a lot less time to just literally plug this into your calculation system. And when you plug it into your calculation system, this whole big mess right here is just like saying 7. Why the hell they didn't just say 7 up there at the top over there, but they had to put X and 1/3 and all that? I don't know. It don't even make sense. Not like you're going to ever use it in your life. All right. So even though I'm learning how to do this stuff, don't worry. I'm only learning how to do it for the one time I'm going to have to learn how to do it in my life. I'm going to have to do it in my life. And there's one time you're probably going to have to learn how to do it in your life. And that's to get that credit for college algebra. So you are going to actually have to learn how to do it for one time in your life right now, okay, for your college algebra, okay? All right. Saying 343 and 2/3 is the exact thing as saying 49. 7 times 7 is 49. We got the first 7 from here, from the original equation, and then we got the second 7 from this equation here, or you can even say, technically you can say this equation down here as well, your u equals 7 as well. And then 7 times 7 is 49, and 49 equals 49, which means that this statement down here at the bottom is true. How you like me now? Goatee for the smile. All right, so that's how you get the answer. Now, me personally, I'll be able to look at a problem that's set up like this, and I know exactly what to do. If I see a 2/3 and an X and all of this, I'm going to know that it's going to be 0 that I'm going to plug in. It may not be true, though, so I'm still have to check it. But I'm going to know there's going to be a 0 that I'm going to plug in, and I'm going to know that whatever that number is there that's raised to that 1/3, that I'm going to have to multiply 3 times without having to do all of this math that we did over here. The only math that I'm going to really have to do is checking it. Okay? That's about it. That's all I have to do. So, that being said, thank you all for tuning in.